Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Arun Singh Thakur from Punjab University, Chandigarh. Today we are going to discuss about the module prospects, meetings and responsibility of the directors from the paper Tourism and Hospitality Entrepreneurship and Legal Environment. The purpose of this module is to enable you to have basic knowledge of the prospects and its contents, job and responsibilities of directors of the company, meetings and its kind in the company law. So let us start. When the shares of the company are issued to the general public, then there is a need for a well formulated document containing a full-fledged advertisements regarding the company and kind of shares offered to the general public. Such document in the company law is called as the prospectus of the company. Similarly, for doing the usual business of the company, a company needs human agency to implement its objects and activities with the outside world. Therefore, the company law provides for the appointment of suitable and qualified person as director of the company. For passing this resolution in the course of the trade and commerce of the company, members are called together through calling out meetings. Thus, the whole administration and work of the company revolves around the concept of prospectus and directors and meetings.
What are called as prospectus? Section 2, Part 70 of the Companies Act 2013 defines prospectus as any document described or issued as a prospectus and includes a red herring prospectus or shelf prospectus or any notice, circular, advertisement or other document inviting offers from the public for the subscription or purchase of any securities of a body corporate. A red herring prospectus means a prospectus not including complete particulars of the quantum or price of the securities therein. It is normally provides the invitation for subscription of the shares but excludes key details about the price and other matters of the share. A shelf prospectus is issued in reference of the securities or class of securities subscribed for one or more issues over a period of time. In case of shelf prospectus, it is not required to issue a fresh prospectus for another subscription of the shares.
Then let us describe objects of prospectus. The basic purpose of issuing a prospectus is to invite the public to invest in the shares or debentures of a market. It gives a platform to the public to invest in shares and debentures. It also makes a declaration that the directors of the company are liable for the condition stated in the prospectus. Then material information to be declared in the prospectus. A prospectus should be subjected by or behalf of a public company with the purpose of giving indication or information as to the company's configuration or afterwards. It also advertised by or on behalf of any person who is or has been affiliated or involved in the development of the public company. It should disclose the following matters: the names and addresses of the registered office of the company and the main objective of the company, the particulars about the company secretary, chief financial officer, auditors, legal advisors, bankers, trustees, etc. Then the number and class of the shares issued and opening and closing date of the said issue, board of directors, statement regarding the bank account, underwriting information, directors and other personal consent, allotment and issue of securities, capital structure of the company, minimum subscription, premium, issue of shares or else then on cash, information regarding the directors, revelation of promoters' contribution, then auditor reports.
Now, dear students, we'll discuss legal formalities regarding the prospectus. A declaration should be made in the prospectus regarding the compliance of the provisions of the Companies Act 2013 along with the statement to the effect that nothing in the prospectus is opposing to the requirements of the Act. The Securities Contracts Regulation Act 1956 and Securities and Exchange Board of India Act 1992 and the rules and regulations made thereunder. Then second point is a copy of prospectus signed by the concerned directors should be filed with the registrar for registration. It should be accompanied with the expert report. Then the registrar, after getting satisfied about all the above formalities regarding issue of prospectus, register the prospectus. After getting registered, the prospectus must be issued within 90 days. Otherwise, it will not be valid. If a prospectus is issued in infringement of the above condition, then the company shall be punishable with fine amounting to not less than 50,000 rupees extended up to 3 lakh rupees or imprisonment extending up to 3 years. If the company wishes to vary the terms of prospectus, then it had to pass a special resolution in its general meeting. Now, the liability for misstatement in the prospectus. The directors, the promoters, or the persons authorizing the issues of the prospectus can be sued for misstatements in the prospectus. This liability can be civil liability or criminal liability as discussed under. The misstatement includes untrue statement, statement which produce wrong impression, then the statement which are misleading, then concealment of the material facts and omission of the facts. Civil liability arises in case of any fraud or damages suffered by the person on the faith of incorrect declaration in the prospectus. It provides that the directors, promoters, and every other person authorized to issue a prospectus is accountable to give damages to the investors for any loss suffered by him due to the misstatement in the prospectus. Then, what is criminal liability? Criminal liability provides that where prospectus embraces any fictitious statements, then every such person who has authorized the said issue is punishable with imprisonment of 6 months increasing up to 1 year or fine up to 3 times the amount of fraud or both.
Now, we'll try to understand the company directors and their responsibilities. A company is a fictitious legal entity or an artificial person and cannot act on its own. The human agency carrying on the dealings of the company is called as directors of the company. Thus, only natural person can be chosen as a director of the company. Section 149 of the Companies Act of 2013 provides that each company ought to have board consisting of directors. The number of directors should be minimum 3 directors in case of public company, and in case of private company there should be at least 2 directors. Out of 2, in one person company 1, and in 15 in most in above cases, two cases. The directors are appointed either as first directors by the subscribers of memorandum or by proportional representation, that is, not much of two-thirds of total quantity of its director in agreement with the theory of comparative demonstration, or by the board provided by articles in case of appointment of additional director, alternate directors, nominee director, etc. The powers of directors include the general powers, that is, the power to do every act as authorized in the memorandum and articles of association of the company, or as delegated by the articles. Specific powers are used by directors in the name of the company to exercise supervision, manage and course of the function of the managing director or the manager. Appointment of first auditor, filing up casual vacancy and appointment of alternate or additional directors if provided by the articles.
Now students, further will discuss the responsibilities of directors towards the company. The responsibilities and duties of the directors arise out of the fiduciary relationship with the company. Under this duty, the directors are supposed to act sincerely and use logical conscientiousness in fulfillment of the functions of the company. A director should not misuse any information regarding the company and gain profits out of that information. If he makes such profits, then he is liable to account for that unauthorized profits to the company. The directors are expected to perform the company's business and functions with utmost due care and caution. However, the standard of care should be of the reasonable man of ordinary prudence, having same knowledge and experience in discharging the functions in the name of the company. The relationship of directors and company is of principal and agent. Therefore, by the rule of agency, it should be ensured that there should be no clash between the personal interest of the directors and the company thereof, meaning thereby that in case a director having any personal interest in the transactions, then he should disclose it to the board and be away from the discussion on that matter in the board meeting. Towards the third parties, there is no personal duty of the directors, but as a matter of equity and good morals, if the contract is entered into by the director in his own name with the third parties and suppressed the fact that he is doing it in his capacity as director, then he will be individually accountable to any loss caused to the company on account of that contract. The legal position of the directors. The place of a director is very crucial in a corporate venture. A director is neither a worker of a company nor employee of the company. He is rather the controller of the company's dealings. Usually, directors are the proficient people engaged by the company to manage its dealings. The position of directors can be discussed in the following heads. A. Directors as agents of the company. Legally speaking, the directors are agents of the company. The company is an artificial person, and to operate its business, it needs individuals in the form of directors who act on behalf of the company. As per the law of agency, when the directors enter into an agreement representing the company, then the company is responsible for his act and conduct. Then B. Director as trustees of the company. Directors are the trustees of the company's money, property and their powers. Thus, as a trustee, they need to give explanation for all the monies in their custody and supervision. Then C is director as organ of the corporate body. The organic theory of corporate life suggests that directors are just like the working limb of the company, and it's through these limbs company does its business. Directors are termed as the mind of the company. Now the students will discuss about the meetings. Meeting generally means gathering, congregation or convergence of two or additional people for transaction of several legitimate business. With reference to company, the term meeting connotes general meeting and class meeting. General meeting signifies any meeting of all those constituent individuals having voting rights and entitled to attend. Class meetings are done to pass resolutions obligatory merely on the constituent individuals of the class of shares concerned, and only they can attend. What are the various classification of meetings? The first is the annual general meeting, the periodical all-purpose gathering of every public, private company annually of its constituent individuals for the purpose of transacting its routine ordinary business is called annual general meeting. Section 96 of the Act 2013 requires that each company other than one-person company must in each year hold an annual general meeting in addition to any other meeting. Provide first annual general meeting must be held surrounded by 15 months starting the date of its incorporation. It is mandatory for every company other than one-person company to hold each year a general meeting as annual general meeting other than any other kind of meetings, and the company should make sure that there should not be a gap of more than 15 months between two annual general meetings. The first annual general meeting should be held within the time frame of 9 months from the date of closing of the first financial year. Regarding the notice for annual general meeting, a notice of 21 days either in writing or through electronic mode should be given. The notice should consist of place, date, day and the proper hour of the meeting, and should also contain a statement stating business to be transacted at such meeting. The notice should be circulated to every member of the company, legal representative of deceased and assignee of insolvent member, auditor and every director of the company. Now about the quorum of the meeting. Quorum refers to the minimum number of members who must be present at the meeting in order to constitute a valid meeting. In case of public company, the quorum of the company should be 5 personally present if the total member on the date of meeting does not exceed 1000, 15 if more than 1000 but less than 5000, and 30 members in case more than 5000 members on the date of the meeting. In private company, the quorum is only 2 members personally present. Business transacted in the annual general meeting includes ordinary business and special business. The ordinary business relates to consideration of accounts, balance sheet reports of the board consisting of directors, declaration of dividend, appointment or reappointment of directors, auditors, etc. Extraordinary general meeting. All the meeting other than the above said broad gathering is extraordinary general meetings and initiated by either director voluntarily or on the requisition of constituent individuals to discuss some special or urgent business. It is open for all the board to call extraordinary meeting of the company whenever it thinks fit. It may be called either voluntary or on the requisition. The requisition must be signed by holders of not below 1/10 of such of the paid up share capital of the company as on that date bearing the right of voting, and in case of the company who does not have a share capital should be voted upon members holding not below 1/10 of the total voting power, and it should actually be held within 45 days from the date of receipt of such requisition.
Then the meetings called by tribunals. Under Section 98 of the Companies Act, tribunal has been endowed with power to call for a meeting on submission by the member of the company or any director who is allowed to vote at such meeting. It is basically done in case where it is not practically potential for the company to call a meeting other than an annual general meeting. It can pass an ancillary or consequential order as the tribunal may feel important. Also, the tribunal can call a general annual meeting in case of default of the company. It can pass an ancillary or consequential order as the tribunal feels expedient to do so. Then comes the board meetings. Under Section 173 of the Act, the provision of the board meetings is applicable to all type of companies, including one-person company. The first board meeting is mandatory to be held surrounded by 30 days of the incorporation of the company, and subsequent to that, the company should hold at least two number of 4 meetings of the board of directors. 120 days should not cross in amid of 2 such meetings. One-person company shall convene at least 1 board meeting in half calendar year, and the gap between 2 meetings should not exceed more than 90 days. The meeting can be done by way of video conferencing or any other audio video means. The central government may decide upon exceptions, modifications or the conditions of the companies or class of companies to be excluded from the applicability of this section, and it can also decide which matters can't be decided upon by way of video conferencing.
Notice and quorum for board meeting. A minimum notice of not less than 7 days has to be provided to every director of the company about the meeting at his registered address in the company by way of post or by electronic mode. The quorum for the board meeting is 1/3 of the entire strength of the board of the directors, or 2, either is highest. Meeting of audit committee. Audit committee has formation, rights and liabilities have been provided under Section 177 of the Act. It consists of at least 3 directors along with autonomous directors forming a majority. They can hold a meeting with respect to discussion of audit reports. Then class meeting. Class meetings are held by holders of a particular class of shares For example, preference shareholders. These are called to put together any change or modifications in the right of that particular class of shares.
Another type of meeting is the meeting of debenture holders. Every company issuing debentures holds a meeting of the debenture holders to talk about any change in the condition of security or to amend their rights. Then comes meeting of creditors. Meeting of creditors are called for the purpose of arrangement with its creditors in case of winding up. Such meetings are also held to determine the full sum unpaid by the company and also to enjoy a liquidator to wind up the dealings of the company. All our meetings of the companies should satisfy the following conditions. 1. The meeting should be properly convened by authorized person in that behalf. Then there should be proper and adequate notice for the meeting. Then the meeting must be legally constituted, having a duly appointed chairperson and proper maintained. Then there should be a valid business to be transacted.
Further, we'll discuss the procedure of the meeting. It constitutes the appointment of chairman, kinds of resolutions passed in the meetings, votings and proxy of the members in the meetings, etc. The chairman of the meeting. The chairman is the chief of the meeting elected by the members present in the meeting. Every meeting is complete without the chairman. The chairman regulates the meeting. He ensures the proper compliance with the requirement of the meeting regarding notice and other provisions of the Act. He looks after the legality and validity of the business to be discussed in the meetings and exercise his power regarding polling or voting in the meetings.
Voting or ballot in the meetings. Generally, in the beginning, decisions are taken show of hands and the majority wins. A poll is permitted only on demand by the members and ordered by the chairman of the following condition. In the public company having the share capital, a ballot is demanded by any member or members personally present or by proxy possessing voting rights and holding the shares of paid up capital at least 50,000 rupees. In a private company having the share capital, ballot is insisted by one member having the right to vote on the resolution in the presence of not above 7 members or by proxy and by 2 such members personally present and having not below 1/10 of the total voting power in respect of the resolution.
What is proxy? Any member can appoint another person to be present at and take part in any election at a meeting of the company, and that person having a share capital or otherwise authorized by the articles on his behalf, and that person is called proxy. A proxy is not allowed to vote by confirming through raised hands. Some more points about proxies. Proxy is the person appointed to vote and speak on behalf of a member in general meeting of a company. A member cannot appoint more than one proxy. The proxy must be a member unless article declare a non-member as proxy. Proxy can speak and vote at a meeting. Proxy can demand a poll and proxy can abstain from the voting. What is motion? It is the agenda or topic of the discussion in the meeting. It should be in written form and duly bear the signature of the person proposing it. It can be amended at any time before it is put to the vote for adoption. A motion can be passed either by ordinary or special resolution. What is ordinary resolution? It can be passed by a single majority at a general meeting, either by voting of confirmation through raised hands or by a ballot. Then what is special resolution? It is passed by the law of 75% majority. It implies that the numbers of votes casted in favor of the resolution are as a minimum triple the amount of the number of votes cast against it. Here also the voting is done either by confirming through raised hands or on a ballot in person by proxy.
So, the students, let us now summarize what we have learned in this module. The prospectus is a kind of advertisement issued to the public. It contains an invitation to an offer, but the company to invest the money in the company by purchasing the shares. It is one of the most important documents filled with the registrar. The information contained in the prospectus should be true, as any kind of untrue or misstatement attracts civil and criminal liability to the directors and the promoters of the company. The administration machinery of the company is run by the qualified and experienced professions called directors. Directors occupy pivotal position in the company. They are both agents and trustees of the company. The general business and important resolutions are passed by the company in its various periodical meetings held annually or otherwise in extraordinary circumstances. It is the rule of the company law that all resolutions should be duly confirmed by the company only in the meeting of the company. Thank you very much.